right side.
Hey, Coach, this is Scout Hughes with WBRF. First off, welcome to the ACC, and how excited are you to be joining the ACC?
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. We're incredibly excited. I can speak for the coaches and the players, but not only the team, our students, our alumni. We're going to visit some new venues. We got new teams coming in, and couldn't be more excited to be a part of the ACC this year.
Coach, to your left, third row, white shirt.
Hey, Coach, Tony Syracuse from Last Word on Sports. As we were talking about it, it's a little weird because I spent 5 years on the West Coast covering the Pac-12, and now moving out here and seeing you out here is a little strange. But let's say that people on this coast aren't as well, they weren't up at 2 in the morning watching Pac-12 after dark. What do you want the ACC fans to know about Cal football?
Well, we got a rich tradition, reaches back a long, long time, and some great players and great teams throughout our history. It's a proud university. We take a lot of pride in the way the guys, pursue their education, what they do after football, but also the product we put on the field. We got some great representatives with us here. Smart guys, tough guys. They love playing football. We're looking forward to competing at a very high level against this great competition in the ACC. But again, couldn't be more honored to be a part of the conference moving forward.
Coach, we'll keep it right there. The gentleman to his left.
Cameron Devereaux, Dean Digest, 24/7 Sports. Coach, it feels like just looking at your schedule, you guys kind of go back and forth a decent amount, whether going back to the East Coast, coming back over to Cal. What kind of goes into those sort of long-haul trips, whether it's, preparing for you guys, like, hey, look, this week it might be a little shorter, going across the country, or, you're having a late game on Saturday, like we got to get back across the country?
Yep, really good question. And we spent a lot of time on the logistics. Our administration has been incredibly supportive, but looking from 10,000 feet, we leave a day earlier. We make sure we got a big plane, the biggest one that Delta makes, got the big lie-down suites. So there's going to be a good number of players who are really, really comfortable. Us, the coaches and administrators, we'll sit in the back, but we'll make sure the guys are well-fed, Gatorade and water, make the trip. And in terms of our week, we got it all planned out. If we're leaving on Thursday, and then once we get back, what we need to do to make sure that their bodies are taken care of.
Coach, we're going to stay on the left side, that same row towards the aisle.
Hey, Justin, Jim McGill, BaronCenter.com. So you guys were struggling mid-season, late season, 3-6, and came up with a big 3 wins to end the year, including a decisive win over UCLA to get to a bowl game for the first time in a few years. Was that a good springboard leading into this new conference opportunity this year and the 2024 season? And how do you build on that?
Well, I think it kind of speaks to the guys that we have on the team. We had come off a really bad loss, and for them to come together and finish the regular season like we did was really impressive. And we got a lot of those guys back, most of them. And so really proud of them. I think it shows what the character they're made of. And, this is a new year, a new team. We got a lot of new faces. And I think those things are important because you can learn from your past experiences. But we got a lot to do moving forward. They've had a great summer, and we're about ready to start fall camp next week. And what we do from here on out is most important.
Coach, to the right side, third row, white shirt, right side.
Hey, Coach. TJ Wilkerson from 90.9 The Light. Moving to a new conference and everything, what are the challenges that are involved with all that, both on the mentality side of the game and, I guess, the physicality side of the game?
Yeah, well, I think there's obviously great football in the conference ACC from top to bottom. I mean, you just look at the competitiveness, and I believe last year it was the smallest margin of victory of any conference in the country. And so from top to bottom, the coaching and the players, the quality of play, we know that's going to be really, really high. And so, for us, it's really just, how good can we get? And from now until we play our first game and throughout the season, we just need to be focused on playing better and better football. And we got a ton of respect for the teams on our schedule and looking forward to competing against them.
Coach, follow the center aisle. Gentleman with the camera, but the one sitting right in front of him.
Hi, Coach. Ralph Amsden, College Football Apostles. ACC is calling itself the Conference of Quarterbacks, in part because of the talent that you're bringing along. But last year, you went up against 3 first-round picks. You had a wild game against USC. How did last year prepare you for what the ACC is billing itself as this year?
Yeah, it's hard to compare teams and players. We did play some really talented teams last year, and we're going to play really talented teams this year. I know the quarterback play in the league is very, very strong. Returning talent and then transfers. We also feel very strong about our quarterback room. So we're looking forward to that challenge. I just think throughout college football, you're seeing rosters getting better and better and better with the movement that's happening in college football. And we feel the same about our team. But, to compare one league to the other or this quarterback to that quarterback, I don't really like doing that. I just know that we're going to face some really good teams and really good players. And I also think highly of our roster and our quarterback room.
Right side, Coach, about fourth row there, middle.
Coach Jordan Silversmith, SB Nation. There's also a change in college football this year with the technological advances. How does coach-to-player communication and Apple tablets change the way that you coach and the way your players play?
Yeah, I think it's great. We actually used the headset communication in our bowl game last year, and we're going to continue. We'll work on it, obviously, all throughout fall camp. We're going to work the tablets in fall camp. I think it's you got to be really efficient. So when you talk about coach-to-player communication, I think that can be a very beneficial thing. I'm actually for opening it up to more and more players being able to hear, but for right now, you got one on each side of the ball. And I think, the coaches and the players during the game is being efficient as possible with how we talk to them. And that's something we're going to be emphasizing and we're going to work on as coaches to make sure that when we're talking to our quarterbacks or our inside linebacker or safety, whoever has it, that we're not coaching them on what happened last play. You give them a nugget and the play call, and then we're moving forward. Because I think, once in a while, coaches, we can get a little too involved, and I don't know that giving them too much information helps them. So we want to be lean and mean on the information we give them so that they can go out and apply it and play their best play the next play. When it comes to the tablets, it's, again, being very efficient on the sideline, what you're looking at, making sure that you're identifying the plays from the press box that you need to talk about on the sideline before you get to that point. So I think it's all about efficiency, and we're going to be practicing that throughout fall camp.
Coach, left side, about the 6th row back.
Todd Tracy for Legacy Maker Sports Network. I know you promoted Mike.
Blesh.
Mike Blesh is your offensive coordinator. Tell me how excited you are, even though he was your run game coordinator, now he's your offensive coordinator. You let him control the whole office. How excited are you this year?
Yeah, very. And he's done that before. So Mike has a history of calling plays and running the offense. He had a lot to do with our transformation last year in terms of success running the football and at the offensive line position. We're looking to take even another step there. From year to year, you're always going to have wrinkles and changes because your roster changes, and we got a great offensive staff. I'm really, really excited about Mike and he being the play caller. We got really good cohesion on that side of the ball. So will it look a little different? Yeah. I think that's common from year to year, but there's been really no disruption in terms of language and teaching, and we're looking forward to getting him to the first game.
Coach, left side of the room, first row. We're going to bring the microphone down to the gentleman with the glasses.
Go Bears. Hey, Coach Wilcox. Glad you're in the ACC. I want to talk a little bit about team and player development. In terms of development, can you highlight a couple of players that you want to highlight or that are emerging talents on the team?
Well, there's some guys we want to highlight right here. We got 4 of them sitting in front of you. I also think that there's going to, that's a beautiful thing about college football is from year to year, there's going to be guys that, maybe it's because of the physical development or their experience or, a year older and the game has slowed down for them. We have some ideas on who that might be, but you never really know until you get to game time, because that's when you truly see it come out. And there were guys last year that you could look at on offense and defense. You could talk about, Tron Grizel and Fernando and, on defense, Cade Uluave, who was a defensive freshman of the year last year. And, a year ago, would we have known that was going to happen? No, you're hoping, but you're never quite sure because you haven't seen enough, and guys kind of mature at different rates. And so I'm excited to see who that's going to be this year. I think there's a lot of good candidates. We have, I think our net talent has improved significantly, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of those position groups fight it out during fall camp to see who's going to get the reps.
Right side, about the fifth row, white shirt.
Hey, Coach, welcome to the ACC. My name's Frank Maloney, who's talking on 910. I was looking at your schedule, and it's wild. I mean, you're traveling in the second week to Auburn, and then 2 weeks later, you're going to be traveling down to Florida State.
Yeah.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams you'd be making such road trips that early in a season?
Well, I guess if you had asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have thought of that. But I'll tell you this, we're glad to be doing it.
Coach, your last question is going to come to the left side, third row.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
Jesse Coger from the College Huddle. You guys returned around 80% of production on offense. You also rushed for over 200 yards in 4 games last year. You're returning one of the best running backs who's going to be joining the ACC in Jaden. Can you just talk about the foundation that ground game does for your offense as you get ready to go against some tough defenses in the ACC?
Well, it starts there. I mean, if you want to have a great offense, it's really hard to do it being one-dimensional. And so to be able to run the football, obviously we have a exceptionally talented back in Jaden. That O-line has come a long way. And then being able to, incorporate that passing game, the RPO game, is everything. Because you got to score, you got to put up points, and you got to be able to run the football. And we're excited about taking another step. And we, as you mentioned, had some really good games running the football. And what we need to do now is got to be more consistent. That consistency in performance week in and week out of moving the football, running the football, putting points up, doing whatever's necessary. And so I know that's the goal of the offense and the guys sitting up in front of you.
Coach, you can switch spots with Fernando.
Great.
We will
Thank
spend
you
a
all.
few minutes with him at the podium. Coach, thank you. Folks, if you've already introduced yourselves to the coach, please reintroduce yourself to our student athletes. And who would like the first question for Fernando? Fernando, we're going to go right side, third row. So, Connor, if you want to spin it on down that way. Thank you.
Tyler Budge, CF Budge. The offense really found a spark when you stepped into a starting role late last season, but it took a while for you guys to get that first win. There was a couple close, tough losses versus top 25 opponents in what was a really deep conference last year. Can you talk about the resilience this team showed, working through that losing streak and ending on such a strong note at the end of the regular season?
Yeah, and first of all, I want to thank everyone from the ACC for having myself, Chandler, Craig, Coach Wilcox, and Jaden here. I know we all really appreciate it, and thank you guys for all your support. But getting into that question, as you said, the last 3 regular season games that we had on a 3-win streak, especially after a brutal loss against Oregon. And I think that speaks to everybody in the locker room. I think that the locker room culture doesn't get talked enough about in college football, and we have a really strong locker room culture here at Cal. And with a locker room culture, we all came together as players and said, hey, we're going to do this thing. We have 3 games left. We only need 3 more to make a bowl game. We're going to do it. We put our heads to it. It was pretty unlikely to beat a ranked Washington State. We had a rivalry game against Stanford and then a once-ranked UCLA. So those were all 3 tough games, but coming together as a team, not quitting on each other, and really putting our best foot forward in our preparation and our effort in practice, and like you said, our resiliency really launched us forward into a bowl game and even more momentum this year.
Fernando, left side, third row, almost to the center of the aisle.
Hey, Fernando, Jim McGill, BearInsider.com. Last year you came into the season 3rd string, and mid-year you ended up being pressed into duty and acquitted yourself really well. What's the different mentality coming into this season with 6-7 games under your belt, and what are you looking for out of this team this year? Is there a lot of optimism coming into the year?
Yeah. Also, good to see you, Mr. McGill. There's a ton of optimism with this team, as you said. Last year, I was 3rd string, didn't have much playing experience, and this year I believe 7 games under my belt, but the goal is the same. Throughout fall camp is be a better football player. The more I can improve my talents and improve my chemistry with my teammates, whether it's talking to Coach Wilcox, my teammates, Coach Blesh, Coach Gilbert, however so I could do that, I'm going to do that, and I know that all my teammates and myself included, we're all going to prepare the best that we can for week 1 UC Davis. And with that said, this offseason, having more experience, and especially with the transfer portal era, I know everybody in the whole entire team, offense and defense, we've done a great job with team chemistry. And I think that's, like I said last question, locker room culture. And it's huge, especially in Cal, and I think that's something that's going to carry our optimistic faith from last season's springboard of the last 3 games into springing into this season with a new conference.
Fernando, right side, third row.
How you doing, Fernando?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm good, man. TJ Wilkerson from 90.9 The Light. So you touched on the Stanford and California rivalry. That goes back years and years, and now y'all are joining the ACC with each other. How excited are you to keep that rivalry going? It would be my first question. Then my second would be, how has bringing in Chandler Rogers, working out with him, helped you with your game over the offseason?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So first off, talking about the Stanford and California rivalry, I'm from Miami, Florida, so I'm from the East Coast, and I was an ACC kid growing up. But when Cal's my only scholarship offer, I was honored and blessed and so thankful that Coach Wilcox took a chance on me. And the first year that I played, I was a signal caller. I was actually, in fact, now it doesn't really matter because we have the helmet. I was actually the fake signal caller. So I was coming up doing like little whips and like sprinklers and stuff. And I mean, I looked like a fool. And we played Stanford at home, and that was our sold out game that year, and it was crazy. After the game, everyone stormed the field. Alumni came up to me, were like shaking and hugging me while crying. They're like, "Thank you so much." I'm like, I'm the fake signal caller, man. Like, I would love to think that, you know, obviously through being a scouting quarterback that year, I helped the team, but at that moment, it really showed me how much that rivalry meant. So that's something that we look forward to continuing. I know as long as I've been here and Jaden's been here, and I know Craig's had his fair share of big game victories. I know it's something that we look forward to sharing with all our former teammates and alumni, and then also new teammates that we got through the transfer portal and our new ACC fans. And the second question you had there with my friend Chandler over there, I mean, Chandler's a 6-year quarterback. He's a lot of football under his belt. So quarterback competition and competition in general, whether you might be uncomfortable with it or you're comfortable with it, it always makes you be a better player. And as I referenced before, my goal is to become the best player I can be at the NFL camp. That's my short-term goal right now. And Chandler's helping me do that because he has a ton of experience. He's had probably over thousands of college football game reps, and that's something that's invaluable. That's something that I've learned from playing 7 games last season. From my first game to my 7th game, I saw how you can grow so much as a player, not only physically, but also mentally. So that's something that I'm really excited that we have in our offense, and I think that especially as an aspiring leader on the team, when you're able to welcome in competition, there's nobody else on the team that could be like, oh, I don't want to compete, as we're like, hey, no matter who you are, no matter if you're Jaden All-American running back, we're bringing people in for running back, or no matter if you're in a competition battle at another position. There's going to be competition at Cal, and I think that's a great culture that Coach Wilcox embraces.
Fernando, thank you. You can switch spots with Jaden.
Thank you, guys.
This is going to be a 2-minute drill. We're going to get 3 of our student athletes in about 10 minutes. So once again, if you've already identified yourself, please reintroduce yourself. Jaden, your first 2 questions will come left side, second row. We'll start with the young lady in the red, and then we'll switch to her colleague.
Hi, Jaden. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm well. I'm Mary Denchemont with the Players Lounge, and I noticed that you were ranked second among all FBS players with an average of 92.2 rushing yards per game, as well as at least 1 touchdown in your last 13 of 14 games. What are your strategies to maximize your yardage?
Take my linemen out to eat. I take care of those boys and during practice, and you know, we split up our groups during conditioning this summer. So we have the bigs, they'll run before the skills. And so I like to come out there early, you know, make sure they're you know, I have the water bottle in hand, and whenever they're tired, I make sure I'm there.
We'll keep it on the left towards the end of that row.
I'm Katrina Sacken for Sports and Culture Media. Jaden, how are you?
I'm doing well. You?
Good. First off, 2-part question. How many of your fans did you worry last December with your tweet?
Did I what?
How many fans did you worry with your tweet last December?
Oh man, that was that was fun. It actually wasn't even my idea. Where's Max at? Mac's idea, our video guy back there. But yeah, no, a lot of people were worried, but I'm a Cal dude.
You are 1,156 yards away from breaking the career rushing record at Cal. How do you hit that mark?
I'm gonna hit it this year.
I like it.
So Jaden, we'll turn to your right, third row.
Hey, Jaden, TJ Wilkerson, 90.9 The Light. I just wanted to ask, coming from another conference in the Pac-12, killing it over there, and now you get to feast on a new conference, what is that like for you, especially when you have the potential to break records this season?
That's an awesome feeling, being able to play some new competition. The ACC has a lot of rich history. These are some teams that I've watched growing up. And then I also have some buddies and family. My cousin DJ Uyunglele, he's playing at Florida State, so we'll see him again this year. I'm excited, man. As far as like the records or whatever, I don't even know. I mean, the only record I know is the one that she mentioned earlier. A couple 1,000 or so yards away from breaking a Cal record. But it's exciting for sure.
Jaden, thank you. You can switch spots with Chandler. And Mr. Rogers, if you will step forward to the podium. And folks, once again, please introduce yourselves or reintroduce yourselves. We'll look out into the room, and Chandler's first question will come from the right side, third row.
Chandler, Jim McGill, DarrenSatter.com. So you're new to the program this year. What do you see about these guys coming in the spring? What kind of potential do you think this program has to do big things in their first year in the ACC?
Coming into the spring, I definitely noticed that everybody is very hardworking. That this is a very family environment here, and my first day here, everybody welcomed me with welcoming arms, and I was a brother from day one. The next thing I would say, definitely going through spring, is that they're very, very talented on both sides of football, and especially our defense. They're very aggressive, and there's a reason why they led the nations in turnover last year.
Chandler, to your right, the third row.
How you doing, Chandler? TJ Wilkerson from 90.9 The Light. I wanted to ask two questions. One, what brought you to California from the transfer portal? And number two, being a 60-year player, where do you see your role within this team?
To answer your first question, what brought me to Cal? First and foremost, I've already had an established relationship with this current staff, from Coach Wilcox and Coach Blesh to specifically. I had the opportunity to come here last year, but things didn't quite work out. And just entering the portal again, it was just like a mutual interest. It's like a saying I say, what's nice comes twice. And I just really believe in this opportunity. I know they have a lot of returning production coming back, and you're going to be in backfield with Jay Knott. Why not? So, and to answer your second question, definitely, I didn't come here to sit, and as well as Fernando, he's here to play as well. So the goal is definitely to help this team win games.
Chandler, left side, third row, gentleman in the green shirt.
Cameron Lemons, 24/7 Sports. You've been around the block a couple times at ULM, North Texas, obviously ended up here. Obviously, differences being a P4 school now, but what's really stuck out about the differences between being at those sort of schools and then now jumping up to Cal?
The biggest difference is obviously the resources and the money involved that goes into the recovery and the nutrition, as well as just the football stuff. We have the sleep pods here that really helps with recovery as well. And just being at ULM, for example, we weren't provided meal plans, so there was no way for us to eat. In North Texas, we had meal plans and everything, but it's just a lot more money here invested in the people here and alumni and boosters. They really care about us, so they really give us money to really make this program great.
Chandler, thank you. You and Craig can switch spots, and we will finish out our time with the Bears with Mr. Woodson. Scanning the room, who would like the first question? We have it, Craig, to your left, about the third row or so. Left side, black shirt.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Jesse Coger from the College Huddle. You guys obviously played some great offenses last year in the Pac-12. Now you're coming over to the ACC. Obviously, they tabbed this conference as the conference of quarterbacks. What have you seen from some of the offenses in the ACC, if you've had a chance to kind of scout them, and how you're looking forward to the challenge of playing in the ACC against the offenses that we have here?
Yeah, I really haven't had the chance to actually scout the offenses in ACC, not yet, but I'm excited to play these guys. like I have a lot of experience playing great quarterbacks. Like played Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, all those guys last year. So already having that experience of playing good quarterbacks, I already know what I'm looking forward to when it comes to those game days. And then also a lot of talk about like people being bigger in the ACC. But man, I'm ready to play that tough football. So I'm down for whatever.
Stay on that road, just slightly to your right.
Greg, Jim McGill, BearInsider.com. I believe you guys led the conference in interceptions last year, but probably gave up more yards than you wanted to see. Looking at the team this spring, you brought in a number of guys in the portal transfer portal, and it looks like there's a real talent infusion there. What do you expect out of the backfield this year?
Man, I just expect us to make a lot of plays on the ball, do it again. So we led the nation in takeaways, but we got a lot more to show this year. We're going to be a lot more aggressive on defense this year, sending a lot of pressure, but also having the guys in the back end to handle those receivers that we're going to be going against. So I'm ready for the challenge.
Craig, right side, front row, all the way to your right.
Hey, Craig. Phil Kornbluth, Sports Talk Media Network in South Carolina. Those of us from this part of the world know about the great rivalries in this part of the world. What about Cal and Stanford? Your feelings about, those guys, and what is that rivalry like inside the two programs? How deep is it?
Well, with both teams, I mean, when it comes to our schedule coming out each year and we see Stanford on the schedule, I mean, we ready to go, man. Like, when it comes to that game week, the preparation and the intensity of it is just crazy. Like, everybody's dialed in. Everybody's going to sleep early. Everybody's staying extra for film, doing extra after practice because we have to dominate those guys across the base. So, and for everybody who don't really know about the rivalry, I would say just watch a game. Tune in this year, and you're going to see what it's all about.
Anything else for Craig? Craig, seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one more. We'll hustle it to the front. And this will be your last question.
Doug Parrish, Football Organically. Craig, talk to us a little bit more about the chemistry in the secondary.
Yeah, man, we're just a bunch of guys who like to compete, a bunch of guys who like to push each other every day. I mean, this off-season workouts, just in conditioning, in the weight room, everything that we do, we just competing and just pushing each other to be better. And then when it comes to being on the field, I mean, we have a lot of chemistry. We all hang out outside of football. We're all really close. So I think we just know what to expect with each other, and we know we got each other's back. And I think that really translates to being on the field and making plays.
Cal, once again, welcome and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.